Listen closely, because this is the kind of story that grips you by the throat, drags you out of your comfort zone, and makes you wonder if the very ground under your feet is as solid as you thought it was. Before we begin, I want you to do one thing for me. If you're in the US or the UK, sitting at home with your phone in your hand, maybe on the train, maybe lying in bed, maybe scrolling when you should be sleeping, hit that subscribe button right now, because you are about to dive into a story that isn't just entertainment, it's a pulse-pounding ride with secrets, betrayals, and revelations that you will never see coming. And once we're deep inside, you're not going to want to stop. This isn't the kind of story you skim. This is the kind of story that makes you grip your seat, clench your jaw, and realize you've stumbled into something bigger than you ever imagined. It begins on an ordinary grey morning in London, the kind of morning where the fog doesn't so much settle as creep, curling through the narrow streets like it has unfinished business, where the air tastes like cold iron and silence carries more weight than conversation. A man named Daniel Wren stepped out of his small, unremarkable townhouse, pulling his coat tight, thinking about nothing more dangerous than the bills he couldn't quite pay and the deadlines he could never quite meet. But the moment his foot touched the pavement, the universe had already decided that his life would no longer be his own. He didn't know it yet, but he was about to become a name whispered in both Washington and London, a name carried across headlines, a name tied to conspiracies so vast that ordinary people wouldn't believe them even if they stared straight into the truth. Daniel was a journalist, though not a particularly successful one, the kind who took freelance scraps when the bigger papers ignored him, the kind who still believed in chasing stories that mattered even when no one paid enough to keep the lights on. And maybe that's why he noticed the envelope. It was tucked beneath the wiper of his car, a thin cream rectangle already speckled with dew, ordinary at first glance, but Daniel had the instincts of someone who had lived too long on the edge of lies, and he knew an ordinary morning doesn't plant mysterious envelopes on the cars of forgotten journalists. He pulled it free, glanced around, but the street was empty except for a black cab idling far down the road, its windows too tinted for him to see inside. He opened it. Inside was a single folded sheet of paper, typed, no signature, no letterhead, nothing except a short message that would set into motion 6 chapters of hell. What you think you know is a lie. Meet me at the corner of Fleet Street and Chancery Lane, 11 p.m. alone. If you don't come, people will die. He almost laughed. Almost. Because it sounded absurd, like some melodramatic movie setup, except that Daniel knew something few others did, he had been receiving anonymous. Daniel Wren